Hello and welcome to Massachusetts as it's time for qualifying for the Who Plowed 500 here from Coca Cola. I see one car coming onto the track and I see another one that looks to be the 45. And it is, as well as the 00 of Jeff James. Funny that those two are the first cars out, as those are two of our top 5 in points that we know will start this race regardless. Tom Shelley comes in as the points leader. 13 points up on Charles Sanford and Troy King. So we know that Tom Shelley will race no matter what happens here in this session. You see a cloudy day though here in Massachusetts, so it should be interesting for seeing the speeds out of these cars. Jeff James, you see in the 00, 5th in points coming in, 21 points out of the points lead. And we know for a fact that the Aaron's Ford will also be on the grid for the start of the Who Plowed 500. Just a matter of where. Here's another car that we know will start this race. And it's the guy 3rd in points, tied for 2nd, Troy King in the 60. Sporting a new scheme this week for No Fear on board. So it should be interesting to see how that car will do throughout the race here today. It's kind of looking for a new car out on the track that's actually up to speed. But we can talk about Alex Perkleton in the 1. 23rd in the points coming in. Should be pretty safe to make this race. The NWTF Chevrolet for DEI. We saw him have troubles last week. He didn't even make the show. And that's what caused him to fall to 23rd in points. But looking for a better outcome this week. Yeah, I saw this car up here. Chris Louvier, 20th in the points. Having a decent start to the season. We'll have to see if he can keep it up and make the race. We expect him to. Not only because it's Hendrick, just because also when you look at this where he is in points, he looks to be pretty safe. Jake Bassinger now in the 18. This is one of the cars that has to make their way in on speed. They do not have the points. So Bassinger in a desperate spot, 44th in the points coming in. He has to make it in on time. Will Lewis was actually the next car I wanted to talk about. 34th in the points coming in. 12th on the board in the early going in this session. And we'll have to see if the number 6 can make the race this week. He made it last week. Had a interesting showing, I think. I don't remember where exactly he finished. But definitely looking to at least make the race and have a good showing to maybe move his way up the points and a little bit less out of that danger zone. As Troy Kane goes to the top of the board, Kyle Collins on the track in the number 32. This is another one of the cars that has to make their way in on time. The 32 of Collins does not have enough points to be able to make this race through that, so he will have to make it in on speed. Hiroshi Kazuyoshi is 43rd place in the points, so he will also have to make it in on speed. Currently doing a pretty good job of it. 7th quick, now 9th quick as they come around. Not good enough yet to be in on speed guaranteed, but looking pretty fast, at least in the early going of this session. As Jean Sanford hops to the top of the board, we'll get to her in a moment. Sam Curtis is another car that has to make it in on speed. 5th quick in the number 66. So looking pretty good to do that. Right now down to 6th now as Jessica Shelton goes to the top of the board. Speeds will be fluctuating a little bit in and out in this session. So Sam Curtis looking to make the race and hopefully get into the top 42 in points. Jonathan Zorline in the 44. Not exactly safe, but not exactly in danger yet either of missing the race. 35th in points, 10th quick on the board. Up to 8th quick now with that lap as Gene Sanford goes back to the top of the board. So Jonathan Zorline having a bad start to the year, but I mean, in a sense, that's actually kind of a surprise really, because he started off so well last season with the coming in late. Levi McIntyre again a guy who's not terribly safe, but not terribly in danger. 38th in points. So if everyone who did not, or who was on the, had to make it on time, or ended up missing the show, he would be in. But Levi probably needs to get into top 36 just to be safe. 10th quickest right now. DJ Curtis, car 14, 6th quick on the board, 17th in points. We're expecting him to be pretty safe to be able to make this race. We'll talk about him a little bit later. He had a great showing though at California. He wasn't quite able to get the win like the team would have liked to. I mean, that's a team that's had a lot of success at California. But moving on to Coca Cola now. Stephen Paul III is another car that has to make it in on time. They will not have the points to be able to make it in. They are below 42nd. And Alex Perkle trying to shove them at least to help a little bit. These guys both need to up their speed a little bit to be safe. Whoa, Mason Powers got out of the throttle there a lot. So did Jessica Shelton. Momo Akari though, 29th quick on the board, now up to 28th. This is a car that we expect to probably see in the race. 12th in points coming in. So let's see if Momo Akari has to fall back on points or not, or can improve the speed at all during this session. Henry Sanford, 41st in points coming in, not too terribly safe, but that's not too bad at least for a team that missed Daytona to start the season, as Sky Commons now goes to the top of the board. I'm not sure how long he's been up there, but I just now saw it. 9th quickest though for Henry Sanford, looking fairly good here at least in the early going of the session, now towards the mid part of it actually. As we find Kyle Matthews on the track, he's another car that I think will probably have to make it in on time, otherwise he could easily miss the race. That car is 39th in owners points coming in, so not too terribly high, but not low enough to where he has to make it in on time. Matthews not having a very good start to the year, obviously. Jessica Shelton, on the other hand, having a decent start. Missed California, currently 8th quickest on the board. And last week, like I said, missed the race, but as a result, only fell to 27th in the points. So doing a great job this season for Jessica Shelton, carrying Go-Gurt colors on the car this week. Dylan Casella has Post-it back on board this week. They are 25th in the points coming in. I think they are going to be pretty safe to make this race, as you see Brendan Patterson in behind them. Patterson kind of running out of Provos to be able to use this season, as they've been having to use a lot. These cars currently 24th and 25th on the board. They probably need to find some help out here to be able to make this show. Sorry about that. As watching them a little bit there. Finding these guys again. How about Ash Curtis, the guy who made the race last week for the first time. Currently 7th quick on the board. Didn't have quite the appearance he would have liked, but looks like Ash Curtis starting to turn around. He might be able to make 2 in a row this week. Mary Shelley, the defending champion. 10th in points coming into this season, and is currently 5th quick on the board. Worth mentioning, with making the race, Ash Curtis only moved to second to last in the points, 58th place coming in. So yeah, that team has to make it in on time if they want to make this race. Mary Shelley though looking pretty safe to be able to make this race. Right now the top 6 who would lock themselves in are Sky Commons, Preston Plord, Gene Sanford, Troy King, and Mary Shelley, as well as DJ Curtis. So that would actually end up locking Dylan Young into the show. We'll see him in Group 2. Ben Neuwirth currently is 11th quick, and not really in danger of missing this show, I think. Let's see, 33rd in points. So yeah, they're pretty safe, it looks like, and they're going to be pretty high up there. They should be able to make this race. Sky Commons with Stanley Tools on board this week. Like we said, fastest in practice so far. So right now, he would have the pole speed of 42.30. Let's see if that's able to hold up or not. Sky Commons Finding him in the points, 28th, so not doing too bad for himself. Looks like he would have been pretty safe to make the race. Anyway, Gene Sanford, third quick, Domino's Pizza on board. Not much you can say here. I mean, having a great start to the season for Bill Davis Racing. A team that wasn't expected to do a whole lot. They only had one car that had points coming into the season. And they've been able to do a great job at making these races so far. Max Newworth, 15th quick on the board. Has his teammate here in this draft of Preston Plord. So we'll have to see if they can catch up to the other three who just pulled away from them. But Max Newworth having a terrible start to the season as his teammate nearly turned him. Newworth has to make this race in on time. He just ran his fastest lap of the race the last time around. That lap can obviously going to be slower a little bit. He got loose, had to get out of the throttle. But Max Newworth trying to make the race 16th quick. Might be borderline on being able to do that. As next we'll talk about Preston Plord. A car who's pretty safe to make this race. 15th in points coming in. And second quick on the board. Right now that would be good enough to lock himself into the race. Have yet to talk about Mason Powers. The 8th place car on the board. Working with his teammate Levi McIntyre there. Mason Powers has had a difficulty making these races. And as a result, he will have to make this race on time. Otherwise, he will be a DNQ and be in the DNQ race there. Saw Hiroshi Kazuyoshi go to pit road. Yeah, we've talked about Bassinger. I don't know if we... No, yeah, we talked about Louvier. Trying to find a car we have yet to talk about in this session. I don't remember talking about Alex Hawkins. This is a car that's had a great start to the year, but then has fallen off a little bit. Missed the last 2 races, I believe. Currently 24th quick, and they are 30th in points. So, right now, I think they'd be borderline in both respects. They need to pick it up. They're working... Alex Hawkins is working with his teammate at Sam Curtis, though, right now. We'll have to see if they can pick it up or not. Right now, both of them 22nd, 24th. I don't know. Curtis is going to be borderline. Hawkins is going to be borderline in both senses, I think. Who are the cars at the bottom? We have Pollard. That's not going to be good enough. Pollard needs to pick it up. Running with Alex Perkle. Tom Shelley looking like he's going to have to go on Provo here. Patterson maybe doing the same. He's not up there at all. Boy, Pollard not able to... Pollard now going to the inside of Alex Perkle. Not going to help his lap any, I think. He's got DJ Curtis coming up behind him, though. Curtis going to get a hell of a run here. Let's see if that improves his lap any. 43.2. Not able to do so. 43.17 for Pollard. Still slowest. Here comes DJ Curtis with... one hell of a run still. Able to get a good draft down the through turns 1 and 2 and then down the front straightaway. Not getting the draft down the back straightaway, which is going to hurt the lap itself. As we're down to less than a minute left, can DJ improve his lap at all? He's 6th quickest. He would be in the show no matter what. No. And Pollard still has yet to improve his lap. So these guys not seeming to be able to improve lap times all that much. Let's find a big pack of cars. There really isn't one, though. Oh, look at Jeff James and Alex Hawkins with the run. These guys trying to improve their times a little bit. They were up on their last lap, but not up in time. So it looks like Jeff James and Tom Shelley might be going in on Provos. Those would be 2 of your top 5 in points. Oh boy. So watching this right now, Troy King is actually in the race right now. Gene Sanford would be in the race. Mary Shelley would be in the race. All three of those guys being in the points or in the race right now would push it down. Dylan Young would make the race. Henry Powers would be in. So too would Brendan Patterson. Patterson looking like he's going to have to fall on Provo. Again, I don't know if the 17 has a Provo left or not, but and that 17 has really struggled this season. 32 being in the race would... Oh, Kyle Collins just pushed his way up to 6th. An amazing job by the 32 late in the session. Time is up. That is the session. These drivers we know will race: Sky Commons, Preston Plord, Gene Sanford, Troy King, Mary Shelley, and Kyle Collins. As a result, we know that Cosmic Nova will have to make it in on time. Dylan Young, Henry Powers, and Brian Patterson will race no matter what as well. Patterson will have to fall back probably on Provo, so too with Tom Shelley and Jeff James. We'll be watching Levi McIntyre's time there, 42.79. That's where we think the time would have to be. Drivers close, though, that might be biting some fingernails. Maybe Louvier, Zorline, Bassinger definitely, as well as Sam Curtis. Bassinger and Curtis, remember, they do not have the points to be able to fall back on. So with that, we will take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back to see who will be able to make the race and back for Group 2. And we are back for group number 2. You see Zach Kreller there on pit road. We already see a car coming out onto the track. There's actually 2 of them. That's great news for those 2. And it's Daniel Day and Ashley Brock. Those are 2 drivers who probably will have to make it in on time. Ashley Brock would be 40th in points if it came down to needing points. Daniel Day doesn't even have enough points to make this race on points. Both these drivers in a danger zone in a way that they will probably have to make it in on speed if they want to make this race. But Daniel Day on a bit of a rush streak. He's been in the D&Q race the last 2 weeks, but trying to turn a D&Q race win into making the race here at Coca Cola. Yeah. Most recent D&Q race winner there for Daniel Day. He's also a 2-time All-Star race winner. We know he knows how to get it done at certain tracks. Trying to get into the race here, struggling with that Yates Ford this season. Meanwhile, Ashley Brock just trying to get adjusted to these cars. Didn't run any of the lower series before running up here. And maybe that's taken its toll on Ashley because the Australian has not been impressive this season. Like we said, 40th in points coming into this race. Probably going to be struggling just to try and make the race maybe. As I see Eric and Rage coming out onto the track. That's a car that we probably expect to see race, but has not had a very good start to the season compared to last season. Currently, Eric and Rage is 31st in points with that 29 car. Putting it somewhat in the danger zone of being able to make this race or not. If it came down to needing speed. Eric and Rage wants to put his car at least somewhere close to the top 18 in this session, I would believe. Zach Kreller on the track, currently 29th place in the points, just getting laps set as he comes around William Duncan. 44.34, nice. Second quick right now as Ashley Brock already setting her own lap pretty much on her own. As time's starting to get up there a little bit already. But Zach Kreller having an interesting start to the year. 20th, like I said, 29th in points coming in. We'll have to see if he can make the race. He's somewhat in that danger zone. We don't know if he'd have the points, but we believe that we will see Zach Kreller racing in the Hoopla at 500. Another driver we expect to see racing, William Duncan, 32nd in the points coming into this race. Had a great start to the season, but actually missed California, and that's why he finds himself so low in points. Was able to get a draft lap there. Is up to 5th quick early on. 6th quick now is Ashley Brock. Already a 43.1. Remember that their target lap is a 42.56. That's where they want to get to clinch themselves a spot in the race here on Sunday. As I see Jim Casella just up in front. The 96 has got to make this race on time, otherwise we will see Jim Casella in the DNQ race. That car finds itself down in the points, outside the top 42. So we'll have to see how Jim Casella can do. We'll follow his progress throughout the session. Duncan peeking out, gets another good lap, goes up to 5th, or up to 2nd quick, but meanwhile the fastest guy in town is Dylan Thoreau. And at a 42.53, we know that Dylan Thoreau will race, so talking a little bit about him, 24th in the points coming in. Going to be looking for a good run to try and help his comfort zone a little bit there on being able to make these races. Kenny Bale just getting up to speed a little bit. Has to make this race on time if he wants to be able to race, because that team, just like the 96, does not have the owner's points to be able to race. Austin LaPlante just getting up to speed as well. You see his time will get kicked up to 23rd place now, but he was leading and pretty much running by his own on that lap. Austin LaPlante, another one of those that is definitely in that danger zone. We don't know if he's going to have enough points, as Austin comes into this race 37th in the points. They need to probably get close to the top 18 if they're going to find their way into the show here on Sunday. Charles Sanford, 9th quick, 2nd in the points with a 42.82 in this session. Sanford, we thought, had the best chance of actually taking over the points lead last week. He was only a point behind Amy Shelley, and Shelley actually missed the race, but then Sanford struggled on his own right in the race itself and kind of cost himself the shot at taking over the points lead, as he gets a run on Daniel Day down the back straightaway. Probably will want to pull that back into line as quickly as possible. But Charles Sanford, 2nd in points. We know that he will race the show. It's just a matter of where. Let's see where he is this time around as we start to talk about Seth Cole, the guy in behind him. Seth is one of those that has to make this race on time. Otherwise, he will not run in the Who Plowed 500. Seth does not have the points to be able to run this race because they just have struggled with the handling on this 42 pretty much all season. So we'll have to see what he can do. Chris Washer is currently 24th quickest on the board. Not looking so hot right now. Robert Pollard is just on the verge of getting in the race right now at a 42.57. We'll talk about him in a moment. But Washer we expect to see in the race, 19th in points. Doesn't have the speed yet, and we'll pull it down to pit road. But Robert Pollard, I think that will actually lock himself into the race. Ashley LaPlante currently is the slowest car in town on this session, but is 4th in points, so we know that Ashley LaPlante will race no matter what happens. But 43.8. I know that there are a lot of people who would love to see that 31 make it up towards the front of the field and not have to fall back on that Provo. Mason Neal is currently 16th quick. Worth mentioning, Ashley LaPlante, our most recent winner, obviously, in the Coke Vanilla Cup Series, winning at California. But Mason Neal, we expect to see him running in the race as he comes in this race 21st in points. Not sure yet where he would be if he does make it or not. But 16th quick, I think that should be a pretty good lap time, especially considering Levi was a 42.79. Right now, these guys have not gone down to the pole speed of Sky Commons yet. Tristan Wilhoit right now would be racing 42.58. That's a car that had to make it in on time. Wilhoit did not have the points to be able to make this race at all. Sam Young, 26th in points, 15th quick on the board. Obviously, that lap not going to be up there. Mason Neal up to 9th, though. But Sam Young, 16th quick right now at 42.76 and 26th in points. I think we will see Sam Young racing. I'm just not sure where we would see him starting. Oh, well, we have to talk about this guy because this is the guy who has struggled the most this season. Right now, a 42.91, just not going to be good enough to make this race. And Charles Jackson has yet to make a start this season other than in the D&Q race. Everyone's cheering for him. He's got a great pack coming up on him because Amy Shelley, 6th quick. Robert Pollard, 2nd quick in this pack. Oh, Jackson nearly cut him off. Dylan Young, who's up there in 7th, is in this pack of cars. So it looks like it could be turning up a little bit for Charles Jackson, at least in this session. Robert Pollard, who we mentioned, 2nd quick on the board right now. Looks like he will be able to race. And he definitely needed to make it in on time because he was not going to have the speed enough to make it in. As Amy Shelley now up to 4th at a 42.61. So right now Amy Shelley would also make the show on time, which is good news. 10th in the points there for Amy Shelley. Looking for a good run here today if she can, or here this weekend if she can make the race. Dylan Young looks like he's going to try and stay behind Jackson and help him out a little bit as Pollard goes to pit road. Maybe also trying to help Cosmic Nova, who is 15th quick at a 42.76. Nova has to make it in on time. We've already confirmed that pretty much to be true. Jackson not running in behind Amy Shelley, though. That's the downside. Looking for the next car who we have not talked about yet. Jay Stella, 28th quick. Ouch. That's another car who has yet to make a single start this season. Still looking for their debut here in the Coke Vanilla Cup Series. Right in front of him, Henry Powers, 13th quick on the board at a 42.71. We know Henry Powers will race, but it would be great to see him still make it in on speed so that he doesn't have to fall back on the points, and we could see someone else maybe make it in. Right now, the top 7 who we know would race from this session: Dylan Thoreau, Robert Pollard, Tristan Wilhoit, Amy Shelley, William Duncan, Zach Kreller, and Dylan Young. Jay Stella just struggling. You can kind of see it in that car. They're just struggling to find anything right now. I don't believe we've talked about Matthew Moraes in the AskDrOz.com car. This is another car that had to make the race in on speed because they do not have the points to be able to make it in. So right now Moraes looking pretty good. So too is Ish Taylor, as Ashley Brock just jumped up to 9th quick, which pushed Ish back to 12th, Moraes back to 13th, and Allie Nelson back to 15th. Allie Nelson looks pretty good to make the race, either on speed or through points. 16th place in the points coming in for Allie Nelson. Bill Davis Racing has been looking good all season long. They have a car in 6th, 16th, and 33rd in the points right now. Ish Taylor looking pretty good to make the race, which is good news for them. They were 36th in points coming into this race, so they were definitely in danger of maybe missing it. We have not talked about Matt Dixon yet, car 40, who is 30th quickest. He is the slowest car on track right now. 43.55. He just set his best lap of the session. This time around, does he do even better? Yes, and jumps it up to 4th quick. Great lap for Matt Dixon. That will put him in the race most likely. Dixon's 22nd in points coming into this race. Now it puts Steve Pollard as slowest at 43.11. Steve is 14th in points coming into this race. Now getting the help from Mason Neal a little bit. Never mind. Jumps right behind Wilhoit again, trying to get a draft. The Lilly Trucking Chevrolet is struggling, it looks like. They will probably have to fall back in a Provo if they can get it. The good news is every team in this race that is qualifying now at least does have one Provo, and everyone will gain another Provo after this race. If they didn't gain one after race 3, they will gain 2 Provos, which is a welcome sight probably for the 17. And the reason I say that is this is everyone's 4th attempt this season, earning them an extra 2 provos. But the teams that didn't have points, they got a little bit of a bonus on it. They got it a race early. Ashley Brock just jumped up to the top of the board at a 42.50. I didn't even notice that. Great job for Ashley Brock. We know she will race. That's one of the cars low on points. Axel Casella currently on pit road, 11th quick. This is a car that we expect to see probably race 13th in the points coming in. Having a great season right now. That was probably one of the unexpected teams to be doing well this season. Going back up to the 27 to watch how he does. Right now following the 07. Never mind. Doesn't look like he's willing to work with too many people right now. Let's check out Ashley LaPlante. She's not got anyone. How about Chris Washer? Is he drafting anyone? He's got a pack of 4. But he's in front of the pack of 4 instead of behind it. Henry Powers is actually nearing the bubble spot a little bit. 17th, 42.71. That lap actually is 17th in this session, but the 71 with a 2 would have been 12th or 13th quick in the other session. Just to say where we kind of are right now in terms of speed. Jay Stella, I'm pretty certain will not race. It looks like Charles Jackson will not. Same too will Kenny Bale. It does not look good for Seth Cole. It does not look good for Daniel Day. And without seeing where some of these other cars that are high in points are, it's hard to tell who's going to be in, who's going to be out. Cosmic Nova's towards the bottom. Austin LaPlante. Jim Casella just jumped up to 2nd quick. A great lap puts him in the field. Eric Powers is up there. Steve Pollard just jumped into the show. How about Allie Nelson will race 6th quick? The top 6 in this session we know will race. We know Matthew Marias is currently in, but 42.55 only puts him... Oh my gosh, actually we know that he will race. Sam Young will race as well. So top 8 in this session we know will race for a fact. It comes down to Robert Pollard now. We're waiting to see if he will be able to race. So this is actually a lot better of a session now. A great job here towards the end of this session, seeing some cars jump up to the top of the board. Not quite going to be pole speed yet. Oh, Nova! Oh my gosh, he nearly got turned by Axel Casella there. Oh, and that's it. Okay. So, Ashley Brock, Jim Casella, Eric Powers, Steve Pollard, Dylan Thoreau, Allie Nelson all will get in on time, definitely. So too will Matthew Marias and Sam Young. The rest of them, I can't guarantee it. I don't think it looks good for Jay Stella, Charles Jackson, Kenny Bale, Seth Cole, or Daniel Day. Nova, I'm not sure about either. I'm not sure where 21st in this session is going to put him. Especially when that 21st place time would have been good enough for 16th quick in the other session. Okay, so with that concludes qualifying. Right after this, you'll see the starting lineup as well as the DNQs who will be in the race on Pollard's channel. Oh my gosh, an awesome session there towards the end of it with people jumping up. I didn't even realize it. With that concludes qualifying. Thanks for watching. We'll see you for the race.